Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sheep Get Sheared podcast. I'm your host, Austin Creed, and today, my friends, I didn't really want to have to do this show today. I really didn't. But unfortunately, I think it's very overdue, and I think it's something that we need to discuss. Because, my friends, as much as I agree with certain people politically, I think it's time we got down to the important details. Today we're talking about the Daily Wire. I've talked about the Daily Wire before, and I actually agree with a lot of the hosts, whether it be, Candace, Ben, Matt, Andrew, Jordan Peterson. I agree with a lot of these guys when it comes to political issues. More conservative leaning. I agree with them politically. So I'm not here to bash them on their politics. The problem that I have is their stance on relationships. And I'm not telling you that from a biblical standpoint or anything else that they are, or from a Torah standpoint that they are mistaken. My issue, and that we'll get into, and I'll play a clip, I think, from every single one of them. Let me check. I think I have one from every single one. Yeah, I do. Is their traditionalism is not fully integratable with the average person's life today. And that's my problem with them. I don't know them as individuals, and I'm sure they're nice people. The problem I have is you can't take the old world philosophy of relationships into the modern day. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I wish I could sit here and tell you that the statistics say that what they're saying is true. I wish I could sit here and tell you that if you just believe, like that cat poster, if you just say, I want to make this work, so I'm going to make this work. The problem is, you as a man can do everything correct and you could still get a divorce. Is it guaranteed? No. Is it probable? Unfortunately, yes. But I'm not gonna speak for them, I'm gonna let them speak for themselves. But I wanted to give a little bit of a prelude as to why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this because I want to start beef or because I want to hate on them. In fact, the opposite is true. I want to highlight where I think their message could use tuning, and I'm coming at this from being a biblical bachelor. I wrote a whole book on what that means. I wrote about why I think that marriage doesn't work today, and the reason it doesn't completely work is a whole conversation that I've talked about multiple times over on this show, but it can come down to the basic thing of the government is too involved. You could have half of your stuff taken and your kids taken away, and you as a man don't benefit really from marriage all that much. And the woman benefits a lot from divorce if you do get divorced, which unfortunately is becoming more and more common. And my solution is to be a biblical bachelor, to decide your own personal philosophy, to move forward, and to, if you want to get married, do that. But if you don't want to, then you can get a surrogate if you want to have kids. You can have meaningful relationships that don't have marriage attached to them if that's what you want. The whole thing is centered around you discovering what you want to do and going for that. With all of that being said, I'm going to let now them speak for themselves on the show. And we're going to start. Let's see, where should we start? I think we should start with
a woman can marry.
We should probably start with Matt Walsh. So we'll start with Matt Walsh himself. So Matt Walsh is probably the most vocal, the most well-known guy in like the quote red pill space. For any reason so we're gonna do him. We're gonna talk about him first. But I'm gonna let him talk. Now, here's what he has to say about the marriage laws, which we just talked about. Let's hear what he has to say.
A woman can marry a man, leave him for any reason she wants, even after cheating on him, and still take half the assets and be awarded with an allowance from her ex-husband in perpetuity. It's not only outrageously unjust, but it also purposefully disincentivizes marital fidelity while incentivizing disloyalty and infidelity and divorce. There are many reforms that should be enacted to stop the bleeding here. The alimony system, for one thing, has to be drastically changed. Most alimony laws were created under the assumption that most women would be housewives and they would be stay-at-home moms, and most divorces would be initiated by men who are the sole breadwinners in the family.
I mean, I think he's right about that. Here's the problem. He's right about what he just said, But now we're going to listen to the same Matt Walsh again, but it's going to sound a little bit different because he's going to be singing a little bit of a different tune. So without further ado, I'm going to let him speak. So this is the same guy you just heard. This is what he says now. Let's get to it.
Realize it.
Well, I'm radically pro-marriage.
What I run into a lot, I mean, whether these people identify as red pill or not doesn't really matter. But when I talk about marriage on my show, and I promote it, and I talk about my own experiences with marriage, I hear all the time. I mean, the comments are full of people who are conservative who are saying, "Well, that's just your experience. That's a you got lucky. You have it easy."
Yes.
And so you're trying to trick men into this deal that isn't going to work for them. Just because you happen to find a good woman, and that's the kind of defeatist mentality I hear it all the time,
Yes.
all the time. And what I want to say to these men is like, it's an easy way to dismiss it, but we're all married in this room, we're all happily married, so we didn't get lucky. It's like you have to work at it every single day. It's a choice that you make, and there's a lot of women out there who are looking to make that choice also. So it's very easy to just kind of
It's also to get back to Drew's point, actually.
Okay, pause. Okay, you see what he just said? He points out the marriage laws, how they're prehistoric, they need to be changed because they totally disincentivize men and they alienate men, and you know, they're based upon a mythology by today's standards. And then you hear him right there say that, oh, but even though it's still really against you, you should still do it. Just do it anyway, because at the end of the day, you know, what other choice do you have, basically? That's his argument. See, that's the problem I have, is he knows the issue, he sees the issue, and what does he do? He says, just do it anyways. Just do it, because what other choice do you have? That's his answer. His answer is just go ahead. You know, roll the dice. Hopefully get a Yahtzee. What's the difference, right? That's his solution.
Guys sliding in your.
And to me, that's not a solution.
You get guys telling you.
That is less of a solution than being a biblical bachelor is. I think it's more important for you to decide, hey, do I actually want this? Is this something that I've just been told I should care about? Or is this something that says, hey, you know what? I'm not sure I want this. I'm going to explore it. I'm going to learn. I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to say, you know what? Okay. Now I've decided I want this. I've lived my life. I've fornicated with other women. I have other options, but I'm going to choose to say, hey, I'm going to get married because that's what I want to do. I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to hope for a high roll. And that's the breaks. Them's the breaks. You know, whatever happens, happens. The other side of that is when you say, hey, you know what? Marriage, the novelty's worn off. I wasn't sure why I wanted it. And, you know, I think I can have my own life, blaze my own trail, and develop myself into something that's not traditional, but I'm going to make it work because I want to. And I'm going to walk off the trail. And even though I might step on a couple weeds, I might hurt myself a little bit, I'm going to make it work anyway. That takes guts, but at the end of the day, that choice is yours, and you shouldn't just go with anybody's program because they tell you to. And to me, it's disingenuous for a guy like Matt, who's a very smart guy, to say, hey, I know this is the problem, but then pander to his audience and say, hey, you know what? Because, you know, it's just the right thing to do, so just do it. Well, let's go now to, let's go to Michael Knowles let's see what he has to say. You know, I'm not just going to pick on Matt. I want everybody to say their piece. What does he have to say?
I'll be calling them babies.
Yeah, they're
What should I call them?
They're fetuses.
Do you know what the word fetus means?
Yeah. Embryo.
Well,
Is that
an
better?
embryo is another term, but the word fetus is a Latin word that means offspring. So it means baby.
Isn't like the I don't know, I think it's in Freakonomics that they wrote about the fact that throwing away decreased the crime rate.
Yeah, I actually made this argument.
Whoa. Wait, hold on a second. So we're talking about abortion, we're talking about babies and stuff. Okay. Again, politically I tend to agree with these people, which is good. But did you hear what she just said? She said that abortion rates reduce crime. Do you have any idea what you're implying?
What?
what they're saying is, if we look at the statistics, statistically it's black women who have the most abortions. So what you're saying is because more black women get abortions, that, oh no.
Oh, hell no!
This is terrible. How, do these people know what they're saying? Oh, God. Keep going.
Argument to a bioethicist. Argument. I said, well, no, I'm really in favor of abortion because the Freakonomics book told me that it decreases the crime rate, you know, if you abort these babies. And she said, cool, Michael,
no.
which of those arguments is not also an argument for killing young black men in the inner cities?
Oh my God! Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I didn't want to say it in those terms, but that's what I was essentially thinking. Oh no. See, that's the problem right there. People don't realize the ramifications of what they're saying. And this is an example of, I agree with what men, whether it's men, you know, Daily Wire people, Steven Crowder, whatever. I agree with a lot of these people politically. However, when it comes to relationships and whatnot, I don't tend to agree. But I wanted to highlight on some of the things I do agree with, and this is one of them, where I agree with where he's coming from. Not with the girl. She's completely out of line, in my opinion.
Age 18 to 25. And the problem is,
They have life.
well, the babies have life. Or
They
you call it
don't.
fetus. But no, they have life.
No.
Well,
no one,
they have life experiences. They have no. How are you a life if you have no
Consciousness.
memories? You have no
Wait. What? Did she just say if you don't have a sense of consciousness, you're not alive? Oh my God! So we're gonna say that children who are 3 to 5 years old, who don't really have a sense of self yet, you can just abort them? Or how about an older person who also has forgotten, you know, who they are and whatnot? Do they fall in that category too? Oh my... You're sounding like a mustachioed man from Austria in the 1920s and 30s right now, without even realizing it. Oh my land. Look, I'm in favor of women talking like this because it shows you that as much as they want to pretend like feminism made them really intelligent, they're actually, most of them aren't. A lot of women are very crafty, but they're not very smart. The generalization, I understand that. But when you look at this, I mean, come on. What are we kidding here? Let's keep going.
conscious. How are you a living, breathing thing if you have no conscience?
Should you be able to kill somebody who's in a coma, who's unconscious?
Honestly, yeah, if I was a vegetable, why are
We're not talking about you. This is not about you. This is a precedence of law we're talking about here. This is not about you. We understand you probably have an OnlyFans page, so you think everything's only about you, but this is not what we're talking about. We're now stepping into the realm of life and death. That is not a simple topic.
are we having people on ventilators who are vegetables for years?
No,
Honestly, in my true opinion, yes, they should be dead
Yeah,
too.
I
Even if
agree
you
with
pull the
that.
fucking plug.
Even if
Yeah.
you could come out of the coma.
Wow.
Because people can be in a coma for years and then come out of the coma. But you
Yeah.
think just kill them anyway?
Okay,
Honestly, if you're going to be on a ventilator for
Oh my, get off my show. This is terrible. But shout out to Michael Knowles for having the guts to actually say, what are you talking about? What? Because that was completely out of the line. But let's get back to relationships, because that's what this show is really about. I wanted to showcase that I don't just pick on these people for ratings. I agree with some of what they say politically, but then let's get back into the relationship topic, shall we? Because that's really what this show is about to a large extent, is relationships. Relationships are the most important decision you'll make in your life, whether it's professionally, personally, romantically. These are all very, very important. So let's see what Candace Owens has to say.
Guys sliding in your DM. You can get guys telling you look good. You can get guys that want to sleep with you. How many of these people actually get guys that want to stay with you, right? Are not in somebody else's DM. The same way that you found him is the same way he's going to find somebody else, because we are increasingly becoming a part of a society that's ADHD. You want to know why our grandparents stayed together? Because they weren't looking at ass cheeks all day on Instagram and refreshing it and going, oh, well, that girl looks younger, that girl looks better, that girl's face tuned, you know, and I think that is what these young women that they're following are telling them. You've got 13-year-olds getting lip injections, right? Because they want to look like Kylie Jenner. Again, not a shot to Kylie Jenner, but what society have we created that ever made Kylie Jenner feel like she had to go out and buy those lips? That she had to contour her entire face and change her entire body. She was already a beautiful little girl. So the society is ill. It's not normal, right? Don't let these people convince you that that's normal. That's cancer, and that cancer will become contagious to you if you accept that. You don't follow a better role model.
Okay. I was with her a little bit at the beginning, but then she kind of got into. See, here's something that I wanted to discuss. Number one, for example, men, we need to realize something, and ladies, if you're watching, feel free to agree or disagree with what I'm about to say. But I firmly believe that, for example, when Candace talks about society, and she talks about how do we get to this point in the culture where we think we need to look a certain way and do that she's not blaming men, okay? She's talking about women. Other women care more about other women's opinion than they do about a man. Do they care about Chad and Tyrone's opinion? Sure. If they want something from him, yes. But other than that, most dudes are invisible to most women. So when women complain about judgment or society or whatever, they're not talking about men. They're talking about other women. For example, most men have no sense of style at all. Most men are not good at dressing. Women, on the other hand, are very incentivized to learn at a young age how to look good, how to contour, how to coordinate outfits, how to become socially savvy, all these things. So they're judged more harshly on these things because they know what they're talking about. It's like your Uncle Murray telling you about the stock market and he doesn't have a single dime in the stock market. You're not going to really care about what he has to say about stocks, right? Of course not. But then if your Uncle Joe, who has made millions of dollars in the stock market, is telling you about the stock market, you're probably going to listen, right? Exactly. Same thing can be said about a man. If a man dresses wearing basketball shorts and a t-shirt and a tank top 9 times out of 10, then he tells a woman who spends an hour, 2 hours dressing herself and everything that she looks weird, it's not going to matter as much as if another woman who spent an equal amount of time who looks better says it to her. Because she knows what she's talking about and you don't. Plus, most men are invisible to most women, so they don't even realize you exist. So they don't care. They'll just call you names and go on with their day. So don't get it twisted. When she's talking about society and whatnot, it's very easy for us as men to think she's talking about us. She might be talking about some dudes, the dudes at the very top, but she's talking mostly about other women. Now, other women are rewarding this behavior. At least that's my estimation. So I agreed with her a little bit, but not fully on that point. And she also made another really interesting point with talking about staring at, booty cheeks and all that kind of stuff. When it comes down to it, we're getting into like the dealer versus the consumer argument of who's at fault, the person who is providing the content or the person who's consuming the content. That's a very dangerous game because both people are at fault. My only argument to the contrary would be we as men are hardwired to like those things. So of course we're going to check it out. Now, does a man who has control over his libido and whatnot have the ability to tune that out? Yes. But still, he's going to probably look anyway because he's curious. Educational purposes and all that. But again, Esther Vilar in her book, The Manipulated Man, talks about how and this is written by a woman, by the way, she was the one who talked about every woman is a business and her business is exploitation, extortion. And part of this extortion is to provide you with what you want or a taste or the possibility of what you want, and then they get what they want off of your desire to get what you want. It's like holding up a treat to a dog, and you tell the dog to sit, dog sits, and then you think about giving them the treat. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you just tell them to sit and don't give them a treat. See what I'm saying? People are no different in that regard. But now let's go on. So I want to thank Candace Owens for that. Let's move on to Andrew Clavin, and let's see what he has to say now.
You have also said things like feminism seeks to transform women from first-rate women into second-rate men. The very fact that women wear leggings tells you that something the female body is meant to attract. And finally, I'm anti-feminist.
I agree with all those quotes. I stand by every single one of them because, not because I don't want, listen, if a woman says to me, hey, I want to be an astronaut, you know, my feeling is, hey, be an astronaut. What difference does it make to me? I've got the greatest wife in the world. I don't care what you do. I'm not going out with any other women. That's it for me, okay? So I'm good. Please make the choices that you want. But don't let people tell you that your secret dreams, your deepest dreams, are somehow invalid because they don't serve their political purposes. That is my problem with feminism as a political movement. Simone de Beauvoir, who said, one of the founding philosophers of feminism, you would agree, right? She said that women should not be allowed to stay home and raise children because too many of them would make that choice. I have a two-word answer to that, which I won't tell you.
Hey, I agree with him to some extent on that, for sure. Feminism is an interesting ideology because a lot of it was actually really pushed by the Rainbow Rider women with the short haircuts and the inclination to find other women attractive, if you catch my drift. And so therefore, they didn't so much love other women as they had a axe to grind against men. You know, and a lot of people want to say that the patriarchy is evil, the patriarchy is bad and whatnot. But as I've stated before, I believe men and women have always been equal. The problem is we only address equality from the masculine perspective. In other words, because women cannot do everything a man can do, they are not equal to men. Well, men can't do everything women can do. Does that make us not equal to women? That argument doesn't make sense to me. Whereas women and men provide equally valuable services to humanity and to the communities and to social orders. So therefore, they've always been equal. And patriarchy is not about putting women in their place, it's about putting other men in the positions of accountability. Now, does that always play out that way? No. Are people called out for that? A lot of times, yeah, they are. But my friends, I gotta thank feminism for one thing. It allows me to be free. Now, a lot of people want the freedom to be comfortable. And that's not really a good solution to that. But it allows me to say, okay, I don't have to marry a woman now. Back in the day, that's what was expected of me as a man in the community. But now I don't have to do that. Now I can do whatever the heck I want to do, because now I am not required to put a woman under my protection, under my wing, and now I can do whatever I want to do. Most men, they still want that, which is fine. That's going to be a little harder to do. But at the end of the day, it allows you to be more free, but most people don't want freedom. They just want tradition. They just want to be comfortable with what they've been told they should want. And that's my problem with a lot of things the Daily Wire says about relationships, is they highlight these realities, but then they bring it back to what the idealism. They showed the truth in the ideals, but they try to make the truth fit the idealism instead of just finding that in between where everything tends to lie. History and reality resist simplicity. And so it is my desire for you to find how you can make everything work for yourself, because that's the only way you can get through this life properly, in my opinion. Do I have any more clips to show you on the show today? Yes. I have one more clip of Ben Shapiro talking about, fresh and fit. Well, this should be interesting. All right, let's play the clip.
I say all the time, in today's day and age, you shouldn't be getting married until you're at least 35.
That was my next question for you. As a man, what age should you consider getting married?
So I have, this is my thing that I tell guys. I think 35 years old, had slept with at least 50 women, 100K per year, you're in shape, and you got 6 months to 1 year of savings.
all right, done. I got to get married. I've done all that. That's easy.
Here's the Republic right there. So that is a recipe for a terrible marriage, by the way, guys. Waiting until you're 35 and have slept with 50 women, that is a terrible recipe for marriage by every available data point. It turns out that you are much better in terms of getting married if you get married younger, if you do not have a wide variety of sexual partners. All the stuff about, being in shape and having money and all the rest, you should try to do that, generally speaking. But this notion that you wait until you're 35, you've already made a bevy of mistakes that have shaped your character and made you much more rigid as a person, and that you should have had a basis of comparison in terms of sex of dozens and dozens and dozens of women. No, the data do not support this, and it's stupid.
You lied to me.
Alright, so here's my issue. I hear what he's saying. Here's the issue. If he had said that applies to women, he'd be correct. Because as a man, I can have... how do I say this without sounding really conceited? Because that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to sound conceited or brag. I've been with almost that number that Myron was talking about, okay? And when I say that I could still be married to one woman, if I wanted to do that, I could still do that. Because love is a choice, and I could choose to make that choice if it was what I wanted to do. However, a woman has the different pair bonding. Men and women are different. Women are not biologically programmed to do that. Can there be some outliers who can make it work even though they're miserable in the marriage? Yes. But most women cannot do, multiple sex partners, multiple experiences like that, and then still be the, traditional housewife, marriage material. They can't. Not that they don't want to, they just can't. Their pair bonding is fried. They're not able to do it because their biochemistry just won't allow it. Men, on the other hand, we can do that. And that's part of the reason why in the patriarchy, women are penalized for having a high body count and men are rewarded. Because for women, it's very easy to get sexual partners, and for men, it is not. I can't believe I have to even say this, because apparently it's still something that some people can't get through their thick skulls. Men have to bring something to the table to be able to fornicate with a woman. A woman has to just part her legs and ask the first guy who's around to get some of that, and they'll probably say yes. We as men have to work for that. It's not just given to us. Women, that's the easiest thing they can do, and that's why if it's easy, then it's not an accomplishment. It's because it's hard for a woman to resist all these options that it's a virtue. It's because it's hard for a man to even have access to women that it then therefore makes it more valuable to have access to women. We already established that most women think of most men as invisible. My friends, part of the reason why I disagree with a lot of what the Daily Wire hosts say about relationships is because they make statements like that, where it's disingenuous and it doesn't fully explain the issue, and it dodges a very complex issue. And I'm not alone in this thinking. I agree with a lot of things they say politically, but when it comes to relationships, a lot of times they drop the ball because they're out of touch. It's because they've been married. They don't see what's happening out here in these streets. It's because they're married that they don't see what we as single guys deal with, what we do, how we operate. They just don't have the desire to learn, or they just don't see it. I don't know which one. It could be a combination of both. My friends, I'm curious what you have to say about this topic. Everybody has their own life, their own experiences, their own philosophies and everything, and I'm very curious to hear about it. My friends, please take care of yourselves. Please ask questions about everything you've heard from me, from them, from anybody else, because it's important for you to decide for yourself what you believe and what you want to do going forward. My friends, in the meantime, I invite you to take care of yourselves. If you want to see my philosophy in detail, Biblical Bachelor is the best place for you to find it. It'll be in the link in the description for you to check it out if you want. My friends, take care of yourselves, and I hope you learned something today. Take care. Peace.